The suspect entered the east stairwell, that's building 12, with a rifle inside a black, soft case. The suspect exited the stairwell, pulled the rifle out of the case. At 2:21 hours and 33 seconds, the suspect readied his rifle and began shooting into rooms 1215, 1216, 1214. He went back to 1216, back to 1215, and then to 1213.
Well, let me give you some new information. The gunman was wearing a gas mask and had smoke grenades. He then went and activated the alarm system. This was a premeditated murder on the part of the gunman with all the preparations that he went through. He may or may not have a mental problem, but when we look back at just in Florida, remember a year ago we had the killings at the Fort Lauderdale airport, Broward County also. Remember a couple of years ago we had the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, and that's 49 because it's not only in Florida, as I just outlined, but Sandy Hook, just a while ago, Las Vegas, 59 people. Think back to Columbine out in the West. I mean, it goes on and on.
We routinely run drills at our institution to be ready for instances like this.
We got out and they started yelling at us to keep focused and pay attention ahead, the army people, because they didn't want us to see the bodies that they hid in the corners. They were putting mats over them so we wouldn't see them.
And do you think there was more than one shooter?
There's 3 shooters. That's what I heard.
Can you tell us again, when did you realize that there was an issue?
So it was the first fire drill that happened this morning. It was the first fire drill this morning. And then there was a second one, and we were all thinking, oh, it's either a real fire drill or they're just doing this again on accident. And then they taught us, they said that if there's a fire drill, they want all the kids to run out. So that would make it easier. Everybody just starts pushing each other, running, and then we're kind of just like, is this what's happening? And then we realized we thought this was a drill because they said they'll use blanks in a drill, but they actually didn't. It was real. No, one teacher's dead. That's what there's 2 security guards who are dead. The teacher's dead, and then my other teacher, she got shot in the arm, but she's fine. She just started walking home too. All the kids to go outside so they could start shooting up. So they started shooting from the first floor up, because there's only 2 exits in the freshman building, so everybody started running to the other exits, but that's when the other shooter started coming up. So everybody, and then I thank God to this teacher who opened up her door and let all of us in. She got shot in the arm trying to open the door, and then the other teacher, he got shot in the head trying to cut the other students, and it was like an hour, it felt like years waiting for them. And then after all that, we finally got out, and they started yelling at us to keep focused and pay attention ahead, the army people, because they didn't want us to see the bodies that they hid in the corner. They were putting mats over them so we wouldn't see them, but there was dust all over the floor from this weird thing they threw in there. They were trying to.
So you think there was more than? Do you think there was more than one shooter?
There's 3 shooters. That's what I hear. Definitely.
How terrifying. Hold on one second now. How terrifying.
It was pretty damn terrifying because they were putting us through drills, and we all thought this was a drill. We thought this was a drill, but it wasn't. And then we just started hearing the gunshots, and it was really terrifying because my class, the class I ran into, he started shooting through the door, and he came through and he started shooting the cabinets, and that's when he shot the teacher. And then he ran back outside to shoot the other teacher who was closing the other door for the kids, but he didn't get to close the door, and he was just there. And so we were all just sushing each other, shut up, just suck it up if you're crying, because we're not trying to get shot. Because he was in the hallway yelling, hey, hey, trying to taunt us and get us to say things, trying to get us outside. And that's when some other kid, he ran out because he thought it was free, but he got shot, and then we heard the groaning outside, and we couldn't do anything.
So the shooter, tell me, besides hey, what was he saying during
He
all
wasn't
this?
doing anything. He was legit. He just ran up the stairs, started shooting, and you could see a bunch of kids just going down that way, but stopping. But because the other shooter was coming, so everybody was
screaming and stuff.
Everybody was trampling each other because they were like, "Hey, do you hear that loud banging sound?" And we all thought it was some kid joking on the stairwell because they're hollow, so you could just hit a stick and it sounds like it. But then we all were like, "Oh, this is real!" So we all just started running. It was really bad.
Now, one student told me that the shooter was wearing a bulletproof vest and a helmet. Did you see that?
I saw some other kid. When the other kid who came into the classroom, he was wearing some type of thing, and like, I don't know, but it was like, I froze at that moment, because you never know, because when the gun is like pointed towards you and the thing, you don't know what to do, and you kind of just like pause, and you're just like, is this actually gonna happen? But I felt like he was going after all the teachers, because a bunch of teachers got shot, but any of the kids who were in the way, they got shot.
He was trouble in middle school, so I kind of joked to him about it and said, I'm surprised you weren't the one who did it. And he just gave me a huh. And I came back to my classroom and I knocked on the door and the fire alarm went off, and principal came on the speaker and just said, everyone needs to evacuate right now. So that's what we did. As I was going down the stairs, I heard a couple shots fired. Everyone was freaking out, saying that it was a gun. And as we were walking, the whole class together, I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nikolas Cruz. And as I was speaking to him, he seemed very, I don't know what the word I want to say is, but he was trouble in middle school, so I kind of joked to him about it and said, I'm surprised you weren't the one who did it. And he just gave me a huh. So that's really what happened.
You were walking down the hall. He had already fired at that time.
Yes, sir, with him.
Weren't you scared?
In the moment I wasn't, because there was definitely another shooter involved, but...
Oh, you think he was not the only one?
No, definitely not.
Why do you say that?
Because when shots were fired, I saw him after the fact. So, and the shots were coming from the other part of the building. So there definitely had to be two shooters involved, I believe.
That's the first I've heard of that. Did you see any other students who were wounded?
No, sir.
At first, it sounded like firecrackers because we had been planning for an event to happen, something like a staged area where we're going to do an active shooter scenario. So the first 7 gunshots that I originally had heard just sounded like firecrackers because they were so far away and it echoed through a hallway. But as more shots came in, I realized that it wasn't firecrackers, it was actually an armed shooter, and this wasn't a joke.
When everybody realized that and he started coming up the stairs, everybody started running back to their room. There was like a stampede of people just sprinting back to their rooms. We were all waiting at the door, and he comes over and he unlocks the door, and we all get in. And I see this figure come up the stairs with this pistol, and I guess that was him.
How did you guys find the photo?
We started looking through the JTC composites, and we found the picture of him. And we just started sending it out to law enforcement. Me, Colton, and our first sergeant, we all got on our phones and tried to get through. We all had pretty crappy service, but we sent the photo out to law enforcement, and we're pretty sure it helped them arrest him.
I get to the door at the top of the west stairwell in the 1200 building. We hear gunfire. I assume that it's a code red drill because they told us earlier in the day that we're going to be having a code red drill. I assumed it was blanks. There's the shooters already up at the tail end of the hall, at the other end, the east end of the building. Heard 2 shots. I didn't see it, but then those 2 shots would have been my friend Scott Beagle getting shot and killed while trying to save his kids. And then he looked down the hallway and started shooting. One of my former students, a kid who's a senior named Joaquin Oliver, screamed, turned, he was shot. At that point, I looked down at the shooter. He looked at me, pointed his AR at me, and started shooting. I pushed all my kids by my door to save as many of them as I could. As I was doing that, bang, 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 all of a sudden the shooting stopped. I looked down, he was reloading. I yelled, run, and then I ran behind as many kids as I could.
There are reports that you were grazed on the cheek by a bullet, that you actually saw Nikolas Cruz reloading his gun.
The first thing I was yelling at my kids was to get to cover. When I was in the middle of the hallway at the time, and I saw him point his gun at one of my former students. I saw him go down, and then I grabbed all my kids I could and pushed them into our doors have a little alcove in front of them, and I grabbed my kids and pushed them in there because it was the only cover I could find. And 4 or 5 shots later, it stopped, So that's when I poked my head around, saw he was either fidgeting with the gun, reloading or something, told my kids to run, and then we left as fast as we could. I lost 3 kids in my class. I couldn't help them. I shouldn't have had to. That's cool. If you want an AR-15, we'll go to the range. I get to shoot at you. I get to graze you with a bullet. I get to catch you with some fragments like I did. And then after that, if you still want to buy said weapon, cool. Then I'm going to have you talk to a psychologist, because that gun's not designed to do anything besides kill people.
Well, we were trained. I wanted to be calm for the kids, and I was surprisingly very calm. We heard boom, 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 boom in the hall, and the kids instantaneously dropped to the floor, and they tried hiding behind file cabinets. They went behind my desk. And seconds after that, the gunman shot his AK-15 into the glass panel of my door and hit several of my students, and two were fatally wounded. It was amazing. And so we waited and quietly, and there were terrible injuries in the classroom. 2 kids were laying there lifeless, and then we waited, and the SWAT team came to get us.
An assignment for my Holocaust class, and I was typing, and I took my phone out because I wanted to show my friend something. And then I heard 2 shots. My friend pushed me and said, "Sam," and I ran to the left side of the classroom. That's where there was a big bookshelf, and we all kind of huddled there together. But he shot quite a few bullets into the glass, and it hit a few people behind me, and yeah. So I took a book. It was a tiny book, but I took a book and I held it up. And I believe maybe the book kind of deterred some of the bullets, so it didn't hit me so badly.
Hannah Carbucci dove for cover under her teacher's desk.
He just shattered our window of our classroom and started shooting into the window, and he shot through the walls. I was in the first floor of the freshman building that actually got shot into.
Hannah Carbucci is just 17 years old.
You can hear kids outside in the hallways that were there. They were screaming. The kids in my classroom were screaming. You can hear through the other doors and other walls the kids screaming inside. You can hear the bullet holes coming through the walls. You see the dust flying everywhere. 2 that were in my class, Nikolas Cruz and Helena Ramsey, they both lost their lives. They had such amazing lives going for them. Nikolas was a swimmer. Helena was a beautiful girl.
Obviously, as she read the text messages from the outside, Caitlin panicked.
I just froze at that moment. I was like, "Are you serious right now?" I didn't want to believe it at all. And I started to work myself up into a panic attack.
Still, she managed to call her father, who works for the sheriff's office. He went to the school and found Hannah.
I was inside the freshman building on the first floor when we heard the shooting, and it came in towards the right side of the building. We have been practicing drills for months since we got back from winter break, and even before that. So when it first happened, we all thought it was a drill, and as soon as it got closer and closer, we all ran towards my teacher's desk for safety. As the shooting was going on, you can hear the glass shattering through all the halls and the bullet holes piercing the walls and everything, and it was just so horrible. There was 4 to 6 people in my classroom that got shot, and 2 of them, Nick Dwart and Helena Ramsey, they didn't make it. With the 30 kids that we had in our class, only so many of them could fit behind her desk, and a lot of them had to line up on the wall near where you can see through the window. And so they were the unlucky ones in our class.
And the gunman was shooting through the window?
Yeah, he shot through the door of our, and the door has a window, and he shattered the glass and was shooting through the walls and everything, so, yeah. When my dad picked me up, he picked me up about a mile that way down Pine Island Road, and he was coming from work. He turned on his lights and work truck because he works for BSO. So when he finally found me and picked me up, I was a mess. I was just so happy that I could see my dad again. And just one of the kids, his name is Matthew Walker, he was videotaping through it, and that's where one of the videos comes from in my classroom. And then he took a picture of the laptop at the end, and that laptop was at my desk, and it had 3 bullet holes through it.
For a little bit, we thought it was a drill, but then it really starts to set in that this is not a drill, this is real life. And just saying that even, this is not real life. This can't be real. It can't be real.